I want to be 100% perfectly clear. I do not give a fuck about the economy. I do not care about the economy. The economy is a lie. The economy, whether it's the economy, capital E for the world or a nation or a state, or whether it's your own personal economy, it's a false construct. It's meant to force you repeatedly to choose cruelty, inhumanity, the loss of dignity, the loss of resources for the profit of other people, just for your own survival. When we talk about kitchen table issues, how we're supposed to afford our insurance, all of those prices are false and overly inflated to make profit for a very, very small number of people, to keep us trapped in a system where at a remove, when we make a decision based on economics at any point, that decision ultimately results in the suffering of another human being or a group of people, or the pillaging of resources that should belong to every being on this planet for the profit of a company, and ultimately for a small minority group of human beings who are all completely divorced from humanity. Because every billionaire has a body count. Every bit of company shareholder profit is bloody because it chooses money over humanity. When we vote based on the economy, we're doing so on the lie that somehow our comfort, our safety, our survival is rooted in someone else getting a profit, and then somehow that trickles down enough to us that we can subsist. We are living paycheck to paycheck so that other people can make maximum amounts of money while returning as little as possible and taking as much in resources and human labor as they can. We have been trained by pundits and politicians and think tanks and just the constant bombardment of, it's the economy, stupid. That's how whole blocks of people vote. They say, my family can't afford this. I have no choice but to vote for a better economy. But the economy is a lie. It's not real. It's completely negotiated. It is completely manipulated so that, again, that very small group of people at the very top get what they want. And we divorce ourselves from the suffering that is caused by every dollar that goes out and goes back to somebody else's share. Maximize the profit margin of a company by laying off 100,000 workers here, or working hard to get deregulation on clean water over there. The fact that water is not even a utility, it's a commodity that you have to go to the store. In some places, the only place you can get clean drinking water is by purchasing it for a for-profit company who has stolen it from us in the first place. They steal our basic necessities of life, because an organism cannot live, a mammal like us cannot live without food and water. They steal it. They steal it. They take it from us that we have a right as living beings on this planet to have access to. They steal it. They package it in plastic bottles that are going to slowly kill us and the planet anyway, and then they force us to buy it for their profit. That's basically the economy summed up. And then they demand and expect and train us to make our decisions on what happens to other people and even to ourselves and our families and our loved ones based on the economy. And that's how they can get whole swaths of people in this country to make the least moral decisions, the least human decisions possible on who they put into power and who they support, because, well, I was just voting on the economy. You can't hold me personally responsible for the cruelty, the indignity, the deaths around me of children in their schools, to immigrants being scooped up off of the street, or in another country because our military-industrial complex needs to continue selling weapons to support our economy. All of those decisions they have made every day make it easier and easier for them to go into the ballot box and continue to put the kind of people in place who will support the economy and completely abdicate any responsibility when they check that box and submit that ballot for the amount of cruelty and suffering and inhumanity and absolute villainy that will happen as a direct result of that choice, because they feel that voting for the economy is virtuous and that they're making the best decision for everybody. And if somebody has to suffer and somebody has to die and somebody's child has to be destroyed and our planet is absolutely raped, that's just That's just the trade-off, because the greater good is the economy. It's disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. We need to change that mindset. We need to reconnect with our humanity. But every day, even when we don't consciously know it, we're making completely amoral decisions. Our 401ks, our pensions, our retirements, our insurance companies, the companies that we use to shop, like Amazon, are investing, without most of us knowing it, in for-profit prisons, in concentration camps being built for immigrants or American citizens who are just not American enough, in AI centers that are poisoning the land and the air and the water. We don't have a say in where our money goes anymore, because it's all bound up in an impersonal system. It's all a lie. It's all a script to remove you from being able to make any choices, because it's about the economy, stupid. Capital E economy and your personal economy. They're all foundationally and fundamentally meant to extract the most for the fewest. And that includes not just resources, that includes not just money, but that includes blood and labor and suffering. So yeah, I don't give a fuck about the economy. I will never make a decision based on the economy. Shit, I make decisions that are actively detrimental to my own personal economy, because morally and ethically, that's what I have to do. And I know a lot of people are like that. But we all need to be like that. And it's fucked that just to survive, just to get a paycheck, just to make something in this world, just to find food and water and medicine and warmth, we have to participate in a cruel and inhuman and amoral system. I'm just one woman ranting at my phone. I know there are others smarter and better at this than I am. But we as a species cannot survive, and would not deserve to, if this system continues unchecked. Anyway, stay angry, take care of each other. Know that I love you, and I hope to see you soon.